The views and opinions expressed by John and DJ do not reflect those of any intelligent or rational human being and are solely the property of the Brightside Chat.
This show is a proud member of the Nerdy Legion Podcast Network. Get more at nerdylegion.com. Enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome back to the Bright Side and issue number 176. How we doing, John?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay. We were doing a little better, but we got some breaking news we've got to get to when we get to news.
Yeah.
We almost had a clear week, but
Yeah, almost.
almost. Nope. We actually have quite a bit of breaking news this week. We have a lot of fun stuff, but we had a couple of things came to mind that we got to get to. And in front of that, we got a few things in mailbag. How's your real world looking this week, my friend?
Yeah, modest.
Modest again. Okay, yeah, large.
Yeah, it's about the same as last week. Not a lot, really.
All right. But we are going to get to Morbius this week.
We'll find time.
We will find time. We have both seen it, and yes, we both have comments, so we will get to that. It might not be what everybody expects, but we will get to it. Maybe not. You want to do some Kryptonite on that today?
We can.
All right. Well then, John, what are we messing around for? Let's get into the store.
All right.
Sweet sounds of the chime.
Yeah.
How we doing, Johnny Boombots?
I'm good.
I like to throw you off every now and then.
You do.
Yep. So, all right, let's get the pleasantries out of the way. How's the store doing?
It's okay.
You must have gone back to work. Yep.
I went to work Saturday, and I didn't have nearly as good a day as I did the week before. So, once again, proving my theory that it's all me dragging me down.
You have only yourself to blame.
Yeah. This week wasn't as good as last week. Slowed down quite a bit. So that was a little disappointing, but Wednesdays always start bring new hope.
Yep. Yeah. It's another potential for you to take a Saturday off and you to do well.
Exactly.
How do you've taken some vacations. How do you do when you're on vacation? Does the store do well?
Well, I'm usually off at Christmas, and the store does well that week anyways.
Right.
But I don't know. I haven't done the empirical data set test yet, but
I mean, John, you might be sitting on a gold mine here.
Yeah, just by taking more time off.
That's what I mean. Who else in their right mind? Who wouldn't want that? I make more money when I don't go to work. Okay.
That's perfect. I can sit home and watch movies all day.
I know.
And make more money. So
I know.
I don't think my wife would be happy about that. But
well, you're making more money. What does she?
But it's more
how
money.
Do you do it?
Exactly.
Yeah. You could. You know what you could do is you could tell her you're making more money because of podcasting, and then you'd get to stay home and hang out with me, and then
she'd be fine with it as long as dinner was on the table every night when she got home.
Oh. So. And you're an Italian, so think of the layout you would put out every night.
Problem is she's keto, so she doesn't eat anything that I like to eat. So, because I used to do that. I used to have dinner ready when she got home almost every night. But now we don't eat the same things, and I don't really know how to cook the stuff that she likes to eat. So
yeah, keto and Italian doesn't go well together.
Does not mix. No. I'm all about the carbs and the bread.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. I know.
Of course, she's Hispanic, so she's all about the beans and the rice, and she can't eat that. So
really,
that's
keto?
Tough for her. Yeah.
Well, rice,
carbs.
But beans, no.
Beans too.
Protein.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess, something in the beans. Beans aren't carbs, but I guess it's the protein or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although all keto is protein, right? It's all meat. So I don't know. Something about the beans she can't eat though. So.
Oh well. Hey.
Yeah. Oh well. Her loss.
All right. Yeah.
She looks a lot better than me and will probably live longer, but it's still her loss.
Yes, it is.
That's what I tell myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's Oh, all right. Do you want to get to let's do Morbius after we do we'll do mailbag, then we'll do breaking news, and then we'll get to our spoiler-free version of Morbius, and then we'll get into checkout, and then we'll do a Kryptonite on Morbius as well. Look at that. We're planning everything out here because
I know.
Whew.
It's too rigid, man. I don't like it.
I know. It's not. I'm like, I
don't like to have plans.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be hanging out in a comic book store, and it's like, do you have many people come into your store and go, "Okay, John, standing at the counter. First, we're going to talk about this."
Yeah. They pull out their notes.
They pull out
This is the syllabus for today.
Oh crap! That's what goes on Saturdays when you're not there.
Exactly. Maybe that works.
Oh, all right. Let's get to mailbag then. All right, we'll get to that, and then we'll get into all the good stuff here. Let me see. What do we got for mailbag? I got multiple things I got to pull up here. Oh, here we go. All right. First up, our buddy Carl in Houston commented on yeah. Well, he said Houston, Austin weather, so I guess that means them. He's like Houston, Austin. That's what he wrote. Houston. That's why I said Houston, but I know he's not in Houston with you. He's in Austin. So he wrote on YouTube. He goes Houston, Austin weather, summer and not summer. Because remember last week we were talking about temperatures.
Yeah, that's it. It's
yeah.
Summer and then somehow less than summer.
Yeah, slightly less summer.
Right.
So, Martin, hey, at Brightside_chat, how do I get this lobster bake recipe? Well,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
just show up.
It's kind of in the title, no? You bake a lobster.
Right.
Mom. There's not really much you can do when cooking a lot. You can't spice it ahead of time.
Right.
It's like, I mean, I add beer to the water that I'm boiling it in when I boil my lobsters. So they're actually steamed. I have a lobster pot. And so for my recipe, you need a nice hot campfire. Then you need to put your lobster pot over said campfire. And then you need to steam the crap out of those live lobsters. Sometimes we let them crawl around on the patio. The dogs go nuts. Then you put them in. I don't like to do that too much because you start to feel bad for them.
Yeah, you're teasing them. You're giving them false hope.
Well, they are in a tank at the store. I mean,
right.
And I think he even made a comment later. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know we were going deep sea diving." I'm like, you don't have to go deep sea diving to find lobsters. They're pretty much right there. You just go down and they're there. Especially when you go to the store, they're right there in the tank.
Yeah, I'd say they're right there.
They're right there. Same place.
I want that one.
Yeah, they're right. Literally, I turn around from the place I go hunting for my turkey in Thanksgiving. It's right there.
Right.
Turn around. Turkeys are right there. Turn around. There's lobsters right there. It's like,
they're already frozen for me and everything.
I got my bow and a snorkel. So I can get lobster and turkey all in one place. Nick Wetmore. Hey, Brightside_chat. Is Apple TV Suspicion worth a watch? John, you actually replied to this.
I did. And then I actually saw further comments, which sort of echoed what I said when I talked about it on the show, was that, it is definitely worth a watch, but it starts better than it finished. The first half of the show set up, a pretty intriguing narrative, and then it kind of fell a little flat towards the end. But like I said, it kept you guessing all the way till the last episode, so you kind of had to keep.
So you were entertained, just from what I'm understanding.
Well, just more I wanted to know who it was. Like you want to know who done it. You get halfway into a show, you want to know who done it. So
yeah,
it kept you all the way to the end without revealing who done it. So, but yeah, it was at least an episode too long, and could have been a little tighter towards the end. But
yeah, so I think what you're referring to is, I just pulled it up. Nick, he said, first half of Suspicion, interesting scenario, a wee bit early Hitchcock, and I love me some Kunal Nair.
Yeah,
who is from Big Bang Theory.
Raj.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right, Raj. Last half had me saying, "Oh, come on," and "Oh, brother," multiple times per episode. He said, stick with Severance or Slow Horses. So,
well, we're going to talk about Slow Horses in Real World, but
and we're going to talk about Severance
is the
as
one,
well.
Oh, because Severance is the one that I didn't go forward with.
Oh.
I only watched the first episode.
All right, everybody,
and we talked
Real
about
World
that on the show. Yeah.
We'll talk about that in Real World. Aaron Bell just finished Severance about an hour ago. Fantastic show. So
I might have to give it another look. But,
like I said, we will talk about it in Real World because and Nick replied to that. I'm 4 episodes in. If you haven't started, Slow Horses, he's talking about. I'm 4 episodes in. If you haven't started Slow Horses, do it! ! So, yes, I think, we'll talk about it in Real World, but that was it for Mailbag for this week. But yeah, there's so much we could go off on right there, but then
all 3 of those are Apple TV programs.
I know. It's so good. Apple TV is so good at producing great content. And like you said, even we've said it many, many times, even if you don't like the content, the production quality is top notch.
Yes.
It's so like going all the way back. Foundation is probably my favorite. C, that's
C.
amazing.
I like C a lot because of the audio experience. But
yes. Yeah, I would
For
say
All Mankind, I think is probably my number one though.
Yeah.
Or Ted Lasso. Ted doesn't necessarily hit all the boxes for the
home
surround
theater
sound,
for us.
but it was probably my favorite show.
Would you say that's the biggest hit that they've had so far? Ted Lasso?
It's the one most people have heard of.
Most worldwide, phenomenon type deal. All the other ones, I would say they're.
And I think it's the one that got people to sign up for Apple TV that didn't already have it. Yeah. Hopefully they stuck around because there's so much other good stuff.
Well, a lot of the other ones, like C, the morning show, those were there on day one. Those were early drops, right? So, but
the buzz wasn't there on those.
Foundation,
unless you already had it.
Yeah, Foundation was I think Foundation was too big. It was too much in that genre to be like, to get a buzz going for it. People like us liked it. But you're right. Like, I think Ted Lasso's it's like right in it. What is it? 25 minutes long. It's like a sitcom. It's quick. It's a comedy, but it had the feels, and I think it just really grabbed everybody. So yeah, you're right. That I would say that's probably their most popular and probably got them the most subscribers. Is what you call it on there too? The video game one that we watched. That's also Apple TV. Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest. Yes, I like that one too. Actually,
yeah, that one's really good too. We're almost done. We go back to that every now and then. We forget that we're not done with the second season yet.
Right.
But yeah, that one was really good too. So yeah.
Did you finish For All Mankind?
Nope, 1 episode.
Okay, you've got until June because season 3 drops in June. So.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know, and that's and of course I'll get right into that, and then we'll be going weekly through season 3. I'm sure.
Right.
But yeah, it's 1 episode, so I know I have that to,
right.
I'll be.
I have it in the bank.
I got it in the bank, so you'll be starting season 3, but a week earlier. I will have fresh content myself. So see how that works. Yes,
you'll be more up to date on it than I will be.
Yeah, exactly. So. John, it's about going to space.
Yeah,
I can fill you in there a little bit.
I remember something about that.
All right. All right. You ready to get to all right, you ready to get to breaking news?
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to breaking news.
Yeah, like DJ mentioned, we thought we were going to go a week without having to do an RIP. This is actually breaking news
to us right at the moment.
About it, really, yeah. Gilbert Gottfried passed away at 67, which is way too young. Report says from a prolonged illness, so it didn't go into any further details than that. But we're looking at the statement that the family put out.
I think that's how it was announced, right? That's how everybody found out.
It was announced by the family, yeah.
Yep.
And it basically just says after a long illness. But they had the
quote at the end.
Not really a quote. Yeah, not really a quote, but a line at the end of the announcement that we thought was appropriate. And it says, although today is a sad day for all of us, please keep laughing as loud as possible in Gilbert's honor. Love the Gottfried family. So yeah.
Yeah.
Again, definitely sad news, but we liked that. So
that is something that we can do that. We can keep laughing in his honor because, I mean,
we can.
Finally, we get an RIP where we should come in laughing and we don't. And
it's although as you're hearing this, hopefully you remembered to laugh yesterday.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I talk about one of like the most iconic voices.
Well, I'd say one of the most iconic voices for sure. Yeah. Yes.
Well, and not to take away from him, but you know what? Another person Jen and I were just talking about it yesterday. He showed up in a show we were watching. Oh, yeah. Severance. Christopher Walken is another one that, and like Gilbert Gottfried, Christopher Walken, these are people that are like they're iconic unto themselves. Like there's nobody else in the world like them. Nobody else is like, even all of Gilbert Gottfried, the entire persona that he had, the squinted eyes, I wanted to, and you could try to impersonate it, but you can't. Christopher Walken's a lot easier to impersonate.
I always felt like he always looked constipated, Yeah. And that's the way he did his act. And honestly, I'm not going to say he was my favorite comedian, and I'm not trying to put him down at all, especially since he just passed. But that voice and, like you said, you always knew it when you heard it.
Yeah.
If it was voicing something, you always
the
knew
Affleck
who it
duck.
was.
Yeah. It's like everybody's Affleck. You're doing, Gilbert Gottfried.
Basically, exactly.
That's what it is. And he was everywhere he popped up. What was he? He was in Aladdin. What was he in that? He was the little, what the hell was he in that? Wasn't he do you remember what he was? Was it not the monkey or something, was it?
No, it was like a bird or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was like a parrot.
Some kind of bird. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I
parrot.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was Jafar's parrot or something like that.
Something like that.
I don't know. You make a liar out of me because I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
I haven't 20. Yeah, exactly. So, but all right. Maybe we'll get through next week. It's been a lot of weeks in a row of RIPs. Just not cool.
Yeah.
All right. This isn't an IRP, but
an RIP for that matter.
Huh?
Or an RIP.
What did I say?
IRP.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I thought I said RIP. IRP? Yeah. What is an IRP? ERP?
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't wait to hear that back. Did I say that? This isn't an IRP. I did. An IRP. Yeah, because I said an. All right. Yeah. This isn't a RIP. Whatever. Yeah. But the image has been up on YouTube, so people know what.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
But this one was weird, and it was weird we didn't talk about it last week. But I did a whole podcast about it, and that's the image that I have up right now.
I can't remember if we talked about it or not. That's why I asked. I was like, "Did we talk about?" I think I have aphasia. I can't remember if I talked about it.
But no, that's not memory. That's us getting old, John. Aphasia is really. We're talking about Bruce Willis. Quickly get it out. That's a tough one. That's where something comes out and you're like, oh, crap. There's not enough things in the world that we're worried about. And now it's like, poor Bruce Willis gets this. Most of us didn't even know this thing existed. And this is how you learn about it. Oh, wait, you can stop stop being able to communicate. Apparently that's what it is. Yeah, that's a tough one, especially for
super sad. And obviously he hasn't passed, but he has retired and suffering from this illness that apparently he's had for quite some time. And I guess it's degenerative, so I guess it just gets worse to the point where, he can no longer remember his lines or, communicate effectively. He's done like 37 movies in the last 3 years.
Oh yeah.
So I think he was preparing for this for a little while, wanted to make sure he had enough coin in the bank for his retirement. Most of these straight to video, actually almost all of them were straight to video movies. We've never heard of any of them. But yeah, obviously iconic actor, especially from our not childhood necessarily, but teen years.
Teen years. I get Moonlighting. Go back to Moonlighting with that,
which is still my favorite Bruce Willis performance.
Moonlighting.
Moonlighting.
Oh, I love that. Him and Sybil Shepherd, and I love that show. I actually used to watch that one with my dad. My dad liked it too. My dad loved Bruce Willis, still does. And one of my dad's favorite movies of his and I only say that because it's not, my dad doesn't watch a lot of movies. So when he tells me about one that he liked, I was like, hey, have you seen this one? Check this movie out. Last Boy Scout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's like for him, exactly. For him to reach out to me at the time when it was out and be like, you got to see this one. And be like, ooh, I must. I must. You don't see many movies.
Right.
But yeah, he loves that sarcasm and that whole thing there. So that's my dad in a nutshell. But but yeah, so yeah, I did Die Hard with a Vengeance for my other podcast, and watching that with Samuel Jackson, I actually said, I'm like, it might be one of my, if not my favorite Die Hard movie, like the story itself. Like I love the first one because it was the first one. But the story from Die Hard with a Vengeance, the way that they did how many twists it had, and they went off of the first story, I thought that was really, at the time, I thought that was as much fun and as, quote, groundbreaking for your action thriller as Die Hard was back in the 80s. I thought that was, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. And
I haven't seen it in a long time either.
I think you'll like it. I think you should check it out. I think you'll like it a lot. Especially if you haven't seen it in a while. I don't know if you could make that movie nowadays, John.
Oh no.
Yeah. Check it out.
Little not woke.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
A little sleepy.
They go right at that. Yeah. They go right at, well, that's what he gets off. Remember, he gets out of the van at the beginning and he has the sandwich board on him and it says, I hate N-word.
Oh, really? Vaguely.
That's the scene in the movie, and they're dropping him off. I think
probably
Harlem or something. And that's how he meets Sam Jackson, because Samuel Jackson comes on. You're gonna get shot,
right?
But but they go back and forth on that through the whole movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's a great movie. It was a great movie then. I had a blast watching it now.
Cool.
So, all right, let's get to some happier news.
Yeah. So the Batman is coming to HBO Max a little early. Next Monday, the 18th of April.
That's the deadline. Yep.
Yeah, you'll be able to watch that on HBO Max. You will also be able to purchase it digitally for $29.99. And if you're stupid, you can pay $24.99 to rent it for 48 hours.
So you can see it for free. Right. If you have HBO Max. Or you can buy it for $29, or you can rent it for $24.
Right. I feel like if I'm dropping $24, I'll just put the other $5 in and own it.
So this begs the question to me. in America. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the buying and renting is more for European, because I know people, I've put this out to people in my home theater, and I have a bunch of listeners over in Europe, and they're like, yeah, we don't get HBO Max. So maybe that's what it's for. But here was my question, and I've yet to be able to find out any answers on this, but Dolby Atmos, 4K, HDR, all that, is HBO Max going to be like just like high def, regular surround sound? But then the premium download, are you getting the 4K with everything? Because
I haven't seen either.
Yeah.
HBO Max has been notorious for debuting things in like Atmos and then taking it away from us.
Like Wonder Woman 1984 was all in Atmos. All of those movies that came out last year which
is still so frustrating and mind-boggling that they have the technology on their platform and just choose not to give it to us. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Very, very frustrating.
Yep. It's, well, all right. Maybe the home theater side of me saying they're doing the opposite of what something like Disney's doing, or is they're putting it out in 4K and they want you to go there to watch it in 4K with Dolby Atmos. Whereas on Warner Brothers is saying, we'll put it out in standard, regular, high def and blah, blah. And if you want the 4K, you have to buy our discs.
Right.
And that's how they're getting people to buy, if you want the higher quality, you have to buy it elsewhere, where Disney's just giving you everything. But everybody, as you know, streaming, even in Atmos and 4K, it's not the same as the disc.
No. And as we've said multiple times, the majority don't care.
Exactly.
And the people that do care, like us, we're going to buy the disc anyway. So,
right. Exactly. So,
which you can do, by the way, on May 24th.
Yes. Comes out on May 24th on physical media. But digitally,
now, I think somebody that owns a Kaleidoscape will be able to have it next week.
I don't know about that.
You'll be able to buy it. Yeah.
I'm hoping I'll be able to get it on the Kaleidoscape. That's what they did with
Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully I'll be able to get it next week on Kaleidoscape. But if not, if they were smart, they would wait a week before, because I don't even have an announcement yet on that. But if they were smart, they'd wait a week, and I'll probably buy the digital version if it's in Atmos. I'll watch it on HBO Max.
and then you'll buy it. Yeah.
Hey, I did it with Bloodshot. Why wouldn't I?
Bloodshot that thing and buy it 4 times.
Exactly. I did. Yeah, Bloodshot. I think I bought more than 4, but
yeah.
But that was just more circumstance of how it dropped with the pandemic and everything. But yeah, I'd love to do it for this movie. I love this movie, so I'm really looking forward to next Monday.
I'm
It's gonna be a tough day to go to work.
Day off.
Yeah. I'm No, I think it's supposed to actually be nice, so it might be the only nice day of the week next week. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Looking at let me see, weather for next week. Now we're getting weather updates for next week too. 30% chance of rain. Come on, rain.
Yeah, come on, rain, so I can watch the Batman 4 different ways.
4 different ways. 4 different ways after Sunday. See what I did there?
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 different ways till Sunday. I was thinking the same thing,
but it's a Monday. So yeah, really excited for the Batman to come home. So should be fun. All right. Now we'll get to the news that we had regularly scheduled.
Right. Regularly scheduled news.
Regularly scheduled news. All right. What do you got here?
All right. Starting off, Walter Scoble, who is the youngest Walter I've ever heard of. Like, I always thought Walters just came out at like 40. I didn't know anybody that was like 10 was named Walter.
Well, because they should be called Wally, right?
Yeah.
Like Wally and the Beeve. Yeah.
Or what would be even funnier is like if this is the stage name that he chose for himself and it's not even his real name.
Yeah.
But Walter Scoble, who was on the Adam Project, played young. I can't remember the character's name, but
I was just say Ryan Reynolds.
Well, no, but I was thinking of the character name. But yeah, basically young Ryan Reynolds from the Adam Project has been cast as Percy Jackson in the new Percy Jackson series for Disney Plus. I think this is great because I thought that kid was fantastic in that movie, and thought that he should, play Ryan Reynolds in every opportunity.
Yeah.
That there was to play a young Ryan Reynolds.
That's amazing because you're not a big Ryan Reynolds fan, but you loved the kid.
I'm not, but I liked the movie and I liked the kid, and I thought the kid did a great job. And just to me, he resembled a young Ryan Reynolds.
We have a controversy a brewing.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, don't tell me we're not recording because I'll just throw my earphones down and walk away.
All right. So it's not Walter. It's Walker.
Oh, did I type it wrong?
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense for a young kid to be named Walker Scoble.
And not Walter. Right.
And not Walter. Yeah. Because like I said, I thought, I didn't think there was any young Walters anymore. But
yeah. And there are.
Now, of course, we're going to get some listeners, chiming in, telling us that they named their kid Walter. But okay. Walker Scoble. That makes more sense.
Walker Scoble. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I didn't know. I just happened to look at the graphic I had up and it says Cast Walker. And I was like, oh, Walker. And then so I Googled it quick. I was like, wait a minute. Because maybe they were wrong. I didn't know. So then I Googled it and I found Walker Scoble. I was like, all right. So good thing we caught that. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of, mailbag would have been filled with.
I know it. Although it wouldn't have been nearly as funny if I knew it was Walker right off the beginning, because
I wouldn't
have been able to make my Walter jokes. Yeah. So I'm going to say it was fortuitous, and it all worked out for the best.
Apparently his parents are big Texas Ranger fans.
Oh yeah.
Well, Walker, Texas Ranger, get it? All right.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking the baseball team. Walker. I was trying to put it together, and I was like,
Chuck Norris.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. See, we're trying to open this.
Oh, not Jared Padalecki. You're going with the Chuck Norris version. I see.
Is there any other?
Well, there is, but
not that matters.
Not that matters. I don't watch it, but I know
I don't
exists.
either. But
I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was terrible. So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Let's move along.
Right, moving on.
I love this one.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is producing You Brought Me the Ocean, which is a young adult graphic novel featuring Aqualad that was put out earlier this year. And she's developing that as a series for HBO Max. So, yeah, I think this is really cool.
Yeah, I'm really I mean, I love her anyways. But anything she does.
Now again, no word
if she's going
to be if she's going to have anything to do with it besides producing it. But she must have read and enjoyed this book to want to produce it. So
yeah, exactly,
which is really cool. Yeah.
Did you read any? I haven't.
I haven't read it either.
No,
I did not.
I think we're gonna have to.
Yes, it is the Jackson Hyde Aqualad who is. Basically the current character.
Mm-hmm.
So
the character on Young Justice
and in the comics.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
I am familiar.
Right. This next one should make you happy. I don't know if you ever even watched season 2, but
nope.
Netflix has announced that season 3 of Lock and Key will be the final season.
I got news for you. Season 1 was the final season.
Yeah. Actually,
you liked 2, right?
I liked it quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, again, knowing that the source material is finite for this, it makes sense that they'll be done, especially since they really used all the source material in season 1. But
no. That's what we said. But you said, how did they do season 2?
But I did enjoy, like I said, I did enjoy season 2. And it just kind of continued on with now I'm bad. I can't remember the name of the character from The Well. But the main bad guy there. Because if you remember at the end of season 1, you found out that she had been impersonating like the boyfriend of the older sister there, and it just explored that in season 2, and I'm not quite sure what they'll do with season 3, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
Because, like I said, I thought season 2 was good.
I'm looking forward to you telling me about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, next up is another show you won't watch. And we've talked about this before, but I guess now it's official. AMC has officially greenlit the Orphan Black sequel series, which will be called Orphan Black Echoes. Again, I do not think that any of the cast from the original series is coming back for this. Tatiana Maslany is, moving on to She-Hulk and probably isn't going to be part of this. But I loved the first series, and I like the world. So even if it's different characters, I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
Next up, this one I don't know anything about, but IDW Comics Eve Stranger is getting a series from BBC Studios. I'm not familiar with this at all, but I just like to see more comic content being produced. So,
yep. Do you know? You don't know where it's?
Cool.
Oh, BBC Studios.
BBC Studios. So I would imagine BBC, but it didn't actually say. Could be anywhere because ABC Studio shows up on Netflix, so you never know where
BBC Studios could end up on Netflix too.
Yeah, it could end up somewhere else. Yeah. And then last but not least, Bad Wolf Productions, who did his Dark Materials for HBO Max, is adapting Bernard Cornwell's Warlord Chronicles trilogy. According to the article, this is a new take on the Arthurian legends told from the perspective of characters like on the outside looking in. Don't know who this is for yet either. But I like his Dark Materials, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not familiar with this trilogy of books either, but I really like the King Arthur story, and would be interested to see how that plays out. So
yeah,
and that is it.
I've never seen any of that, but
you haven't seen his Dark Materials?
No.
Did you see the Golden Compass, the movie?
I don't believe so.
Okay, the same story. Like
this is stories.
Yeah, it's the same series of books. Now this was expanded out for TV series as opposed to a movie.
Okay.
Just FYI, by the way, if I go away, like it is raining and thundering like cats and dogs here.
Oh, so, you mean if you're
although I have my generator. Out. Yeah, I have my generator, so I'll be back. But in case I drop out, it's like I had to look and see because I was like, is that like thunder right here?
I just saw you looking back over your shoulder. I'm like, what the? And you're looking in the wrong direction. Sunny. Like if Lydia was there.
It was sunny when I came home.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the window, but I can't see out because I have curtains there. So I don't know why I was looking. I was trying to echolocate the sound.
Yeah, exactly.
All foreshadowing.
Right. Let's get to what inquiring minds want to know, John.
Yeah. Do they?
Yeah. Well, hey. All right. Spoiler-free Morbius in theaters.
Yes. In theaters. In a theater near you.
Raking in the bank. Not really.
It did well for what it is, though. Like, I think they were predicting or hoping for a $40 million opening weekend, and they did hit that. So, like, this movie is going to make its projections and be profitable for them. But yeah, so I saw Morbius last Thursday, couple days before you did. Texted you, told you to go and see it. I liked it. It had some issues. And we'll get, we'll talk more about that in, Kryptonite. But overall, I thought this was super fun. Like it was a little leave your brain at the door and don't think too hard about some of the stuff that's going on.
Really?
But I found it very entertaining. And like I said, I think it suffered from being a little too short, and it was 5 or 6 good scenes away from being a really, really good movie, I think.
Right. And, I concur. What's funny to me is a lot of the negativity surrounding this movie is exactly what you said. Like, oh, it looks like they chopped too much out. They did this and that. And it's like, it's a horrible movie. Well, if it was really horrible, and I said this in my podcast that I believe dropped, yesterday, if it was really horrible, why do you want more?
Right.
It's like, did you ever get a meal and say, that was horrible, bring me seconds, bring me more?
Right.
I wish that was a bigger cut of horrible meat. Like,
right. It was just one serving too short of being really good.
Yeah. I'd be like, what? It'd be like, no, it's like, now I get what you're saying, because it doesn't really, the analogy doesn't really go hand in hand, because if you take something out of a movie, the movie might not make sense or whatever. But
right.
Not for a second do I think this movie doesn't make sense, but I would like more information.
Either. I agree. Like it was. Wow, what am I saying? I understood. I completely understood everything that was happening.
And I'm not a huge Morbius fan. It's not like I have Morbius information filling in the background.
I'm not a huge Jared Leto fan either, but I actually thought he was. I thought he was pretty good in this movie.
Excellent.
Actually, yeah.
I thought he was great.
I just feel like some things moved very quickly, and we got to certain places without really explaining why we got there. And I just think there was some connective tissue that could have been put in, especially when we're used to now seeing 2.5-hour movies.
Yeah.
And this was 1 hour and 40 minutes. Like, if they had bumped this up to right around the 2-hour mark, I feel like, and again, we'll elaborate later, but I feel like some of the things that I think were rushed or missing could have been put, and may have been there in the original cut too, for all we know. And I think this turns into like questionable but fun movie to actually like a really good movie, So,
yeah. And I think a really interesting character that if they decide to bring him into the MCU like proper, that would be, I think, would be a lot of fun. Interesting thing is, this is a Sony production. This isn't an MCU proper movie, right? It's all in the same universe now because of what they did with, Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's still it's part of the Venom universe more than it is part of the MCU. Right. But I think, I just had a lot of fun with this movie. I was paying attention the entire time. I was not bored for a second. I understood everything that was going on, and there wasn't like nothing didn't make sense. The comment, I'd love to get into that leave your brain at the door comment in Kryptonite, because maybe it's just because I've just come off of Moonfall that I'm like, I didn't really, for a comic book movie, obviously there's a degree of that anyways, but that's not one of the things I would have said about this movie. So I'm interested to see why you're saying that. But yeah, I had so much fun. And maybe it's also because we saw it later and I had lower expectations, but I had so much fun with this movie.
Well, yeah, I had very low expectations of it. And again, to clarify, not so much leave your brain in the door like it was mindless, dumb entertainment, but more so like, don't try to connect all the dots because they're not all there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, I do want to expand on that, tonight, because like I said, I just feel like there was a couple of things that could have made this thing better, and I think, again, had they been there,
we get that.
We wouldn't be hearing everybody talking about it being a terrible movie.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. And I said this to you the other day too. I think part of this is we have so many comic book movies now. The MCU and it alone we're approaching 30 in the MCU.
Yeah.
Right. But then you get into all of these other, like the Venoms and all of these other comic book movies that are going on that we're spoiled. And a good comic book movie now is considered crap. They all have to be excellent. And it's like, no.
Well, and this was better than Venom 2.
Oh, yes. Way better.
Might have even been better than Venom 1, honestly, but it was definitely better than Venom 2.
I would say that. I would say Well, it might be recency, but I do think it was. I'm more intrigued by this than I was by Venom, the first one. So yeah, I really, I think I could say that. In my opinion, I think it's, yeah. So, all right, can't wait to get to Kryptonite. That'll be fun. That'll be a good time. We'll break that down. All right, are you ready to get to checkout?
Sure.
All right, John. What did we spend our money on last week?
All right. First book we have is from Boom Studios, Alice Ever After. This was issue 1 of a 5-issue miniseries. It was written by Dan Panosian. It had art by Giorgio Spalletta. Cover art was Dan Panosian. So this is a sequel, I guess, to Alice in Wonderland. We follow an adult Alice who, coming off of her childhood visit to Wonderland, is not faring very well in the real world, and really only wants to spend all her time returning to Wonderland, which she can only do through the use of narcotics. And so we follow.
Isn't that the gist of the first?
Well, in that honestly, it raises the idea that Wonderland has always just been a product of the narcotics, because they make a comment that at one point the sister says something to the father about, he used to give them these drugs when they were kids, but Alice was the only one that still needed them, or something like that. Didn't really specify what the drugs were, but so basically, you're just following a kind of strung out Alice who's like, hanging around with her drug dealer friend and shoplifting from stores to get the money to pay for her drugs. She's kind of the outcast of the family, which is a well-respected family. And, that's all, right? I mean, that's kind of really all there is to it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really like this.
Me neither.
I didn't, I'm not really the biggest Alice in Wonderland fan to begin with, but I thought this seemed interesting and I thought it had the potential to be interesting, but it ultimately wasn't very good, I don't think. It's really just her strung out, trying to score drugs, and then being on like her acid trip fantasy in Wonderland. I don't know. This didn't do much for me, and I won't continue on with this.
Not at all.
So
I wasn't. I wasn't too happy with. Like, I read it and I wasn't angry.
I read the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So did I. But I was just like, no. I was like, this is kind of a downer. I wasn't really. It didn't really enjoy it at all. And I honestly, it's been a while since you and I have like disagreed. Usually, if we both like them, we both don't like them. And I
have a feeling it might be coming next.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, cool.
I'm trying to read the room, but if I know you as well as I think I do, we might disagree a little bit.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So the next book, are we done with Alice Ever After?
I was done before you started, my friend.
Okay. Not the show title. Okay.
No.
So next up from AWA Studios, we have The Joneses, issue number 1 of 5. It's written by Michael Morrissey, art by Alessandro Vitti and Eve Scorsina. All right, so this I didn't realize until I started reading it. Basically is part of the Resistance universe for AWA Studios. So the Joneses is basically the Fantastic Four family that were part of the Reborns. If you've read the Resistance at all, you know that there was a pandemic that was known as the Great Death, and a certain portion of the population known as Reborns were
a little on the nose.
Yeah, it was different powers, different abilities. And so the Joneses is basically kind of a dysfunctional Fantastic Four. That's the vibe I got when I was reading this. And they are trying to navigate this new world where they're reborns and they have these powers. I really enjoyed most of the Resistance and Moths and a lot of the things that spun out of it. I just didn't connect with this. It didn't do anything for me. You've got the mom and dad who are having marital problems. The daughter who wants to do nothing but flaunt her powers. The son who is trying to blend in and not use his powers. And, all this is kind of happening in the community where the Reborns are being sort of like the Sokovia Accords in like the Avengers movies. Like, they want them to register, which is all stuff that happened in the Resistance books as well. And these guys are just trying to kind of blend and fit in. But yeah, ultimately this, I don't know, it didn't really hit for me. I didn't think it was that good. So.
All right. It feels like you, okay.
I feel like I thought you liked it.
I did.
More than I did.
I did. Clearly, because you didn't. Okay. I did like it, but what I'm having a tough time with is I feel like you missed part of the story. Like all the Reborns are like in hiding. They're all in hiding, right? So like you're saying, like the son wants to, like he's hiding he's trying to be a little bit more subdued with his powers, where the daughter is flaunting it. She's not flaunting it. She's just
she's masked.
Using it.
She's using them, right?
But she's using them, whereas if you have any kind of powers, you're better served in this world not to use them because, like you said, it had that whole vibe of the Sokovia Accords. Of course, it's like they don't have a registry yet, but they want to have a registry in this this world. They want a registry for the people that have these powers. A lot of parallels to real world going on right now of what people are thinking, and what I felt like is at first I did feel like it was going to be like a Fantastic Four type family, but where it's different is they're not allowed to be public about their powers, right? But there are people that are using their powers for bad, and they're just coming right out in the story, and they're like robbing banks, and that's why people are seeing that, like, see, these powered people are using their powers for bad, so that's why we need a registry. But what they don't realize, according to the story, is there's a lot more people that aren't bad that aren't using their powers at all, and they're just but they want them to register. So I kind of like it. I want to see where it's going to go.
I didn't miss any of that. Like I got all of that. I just didn't.
That's what I think is interesting. I'm like, okay, so like the small percentage, and it gets into.
Well, it's always the vocal, right? Well, that's what we say when we talk about Twitter, right? Like Twitter isn't as bad as we think it is. It's only because what you see is, all the people that are vocal and negative, and
but
same type of thing happening there.
I'm kind of interested to see where it goes because I want to see how this story plays out compared to like a lot of the stuff that they're hitting on is stuff that's going on in the real world, but they're putting it in a different context to make it like kind of entertaining or maybe shed light on something in a different way so people would see it and be like, I never thought of it that way. So that's why I did kind of like it in that way, is that it's really interesting that they're putting controversies and issues that we're dealing with in real life, but they're putting it in a comic book term in a completely different way, different context, but maybe you'll see things differently and maybe you'll see the other side differently depending on where you are. And he kind of alludes to that at the end of the writer had a little thing at the end of the book too. So I got that. Yeah. So that's why I kind of liked it. It took, real world stuff, a la like X-Men, like I said, and made it a little more fun. So, cool. Did I lose you? Oh, you froze for a second.
No,
there.
Oh, did I?
Oh yeah, your video froze for a second, but
Oh, I'm still here. It's thundering still, but I'm still here.
And you'll see what it looks like on the video. You froze like huh?
Nice.
So, but
I look like the Elephant Man.
yeah, exactly. All right. What do you got coming up? What do we got coming up next week here?
Next week we have A Town Called Terror,
Ooh.
issue number 1. That's from Image Comics, and Immortal Red Sonja, issue number 1, which is from Dynamite Comics.
Another Red Sonja. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we liked the last one, at least the first couple.
I did. And it's, not the invincible Red Sonja this time. It's the immortal Red
The
Sonja.
Immortal. What is it?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the same thing? No?
Well, I had to do a look back because I was like, don't we already have the immortal Red Sonja? But it was
Right.
invincible.
Um,
Yeah, again, I kind of looked for something else. I'm gonna read this book anyways, but
right. You're
I
a
looked
huge
for
Red
something
Sonja
else that we could talk about, but there wasn't really
fan.
anything else except for, like I said, Marvel and DC stuff.
Right.
So
What do you know anything about this? A Town Called Terror?
it's just that it's a horror book from Image. I don't know anything else about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the cover that I have up here on YouTube is really nice. Really.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of horror books, I did catch up on Ghost Rider number 2.
Yeah,
Holy
it's good.
cow. Such a good book.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. Really great horror vibe. I mean, it's a horror book. And
It is.
the stuff they're putting in there that I'm like, how are they not something you would normally get in a Marvel book. For instance, the crucifixes going down the road.
Right.
Right? So, did you notice like the first one is they're all naked.
Right.
The first one is of a man from the waist up. He's in the foreground, right? But then as they go down, as they get further away, that's the women. But the way they paced it out, it's like, that's the closest you're going to find to having a naked woman in a Marvel book.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that because I'm like, oh, I'm excited to get a naked woman in a Marvel book.
No,
what
I
I'm
know.
saying is like, that's the level they're going to with this horror. I mean, it is graphic. It's for a Marvel book. Are you a little surprised with the level of detail and in the art, in the writing, in everything? Like, and I think it's great, but I'm just saying for a Marvel book, doesn't this feel more like it has more of an indie feel to me?
I guess, yeah. It didn't stand out to me because it was a Marvel book necessarily, but they're definitely trying to push the envelope a little, to the upper end of teen plus,
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, obviously, like just that one image that I just talked about with the crucifixes, the people on the telephone poles, and you're like,
right.
I mean, if you're a parent and your 13-year-old is reading this and you look at the last few there and you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And believe me, I'm not against any of this. I'm saying I think this is great. I think it's for a Marvel book to be going this far, because usually they're all, I mean, they're so, I don't know, I don't want to say PC, but they're so much more, I don't know, cleaned up. And it's a really good book. Enjoying the story too, obviously. And what they're doing with Ghost Rider and what's his name?
Johnny Blaze?
Johnny Blaze, yes.
Yeah.
Johnny Blaze, and that she has to be a new character, the one that's hunting him.
Yeah, I'm not sure who she is. Like I said, I don't read
I like that
a lot of the Ghost Rider stuff
really
that faithfully, but excuse me. So I'm not sure how long she's been around, but
we're only 2 books in, so if you haven't caught up on that, it definitely
for this
out.
series, yes,
definitely for this series.
Like the second printing of number 1 comes out today, so if you missed it, you can pick up the second printing today.
Is that what you were just looking at when I was talking about it? Well, I saw you looking down. Or you're looking at the weather?
No, I'm looking at my notes for other books and stuff.
Oh, okay. All right. What else did you read then?
Actually, I only have one other book that I wrote down, and that's Devil's Reign #6.
Yes.
Which was the final issue of that.
Great. That's the other one I
really liked it. Yeah, really liked it. I liked where they left like Wilson and Mary at the end of this.
Yep.
And also liked where Daredevil, where Matt and Elektra are going. This definitely leads right into the next ongoing series.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited because it looks like Elektra is going to stay with it. Like I was kind of afraid that they would relaunch the book and she would go away and he would go back. But I like the two of them being together, and I kind of like her as, I don't know, she's not really going to be Daredevil anymore because he's back, but she's still dressed like him. So I don't know if they're going to keep that going. But I don't know. I really liked this event, and
the event.
I'm looking forward.
Wrapping up
to the next one.
Yeah, wrapping up Zdarsky's first run, I guess you should say. It's like, bringing in, because Elektra came in the middle of that run, maybe 2/3 of the way in, right? Something like that.
Right.
And took over for him, obviously. If people don't know, it's like, you got to have to go back to the beginning of the run and read the whole thing. But,
right.
But yeah, it's like, I liked, what did I read? I read a synopsis or something. Maybe it was an afterwards on the book about, I think the other book is called Woman Without Fear. Is that the other book?
That was the Devil's Reign spinoff
that's
she
still
had,
going, isn't it? Or is that over?
No, it was only three. It was only three issues.
We read that. But they were wrapping it up and saying like where the man and woman without fear are going to be next. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. So like that starts back up in what, June? Did we hear that?
It's in previews now. So what is this? April? Yeah. So we're ordering for June.
I don't know if we've talked about that because you and I talked about it.
We haven't. I texted you.
We haven't talked about it on air, but we were talking because Martin wasn't sure if he had it because he was saying on Nerdy Legion, he's like, I'm not sure if this is coming, if Zdarsky is here.
Well, not. We did talk about that on this show too.
We weren't sure, but then you sent me you actually sent me some screen grabs of your, information, whatever.
Yeah, my POS, my ordering, basically the catalog.
Your piece of what?
The catalog.
I know.
My POS. Yeah.
I thought that was your Mustang when we were kids.
Yeah, well, that was my first POS. I've had many over the years.
The Thunderbird. So, was that a Thunderbird that you had too, that you took out the fire hydrant with?
That was my LTD.
Oh, that's why I thought it was a Thunderbird.
That was my tank. That thing was a tank, man.
Fire hydrant never knew what hit it.
It did not. But it could glide, man. I could steer that thing with one finger. That steering wheel was so smooth.
Which is why you hit the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
You're steering it with one finger. An LTD with one finger. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's great. It was smooth. It was like riding on a cloud.
Yeah. I was well protected in that thing. I will say that.
Weren't you the one that hit? Was it you that hit the fire hydrant and it was like, it doesn't spray up in the air like they do in the movies?
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. You were like, wasn't it?
Same car. Same car.
No, I know. Wasn't that on Puctures Street?
Yeah, I was bringing Eddie Buckley home.
Yeah, it was the fire hydrant on Puctures Street that at the end of Maple Street, I think.
Yeah,
and
I own that.
Yeah.
I still own it.
Oh, yep. I remember.
I'll tell you what, and that thing flew about 30 feet. And I don't know if you've ever picked one up, but those are heavy. So for that thing to have gone that far, I still drove that car away. So
No.
that thing was a tank, I'm telling you.
So everybody out there buying cars for their kids,
Yeah.
don't
Buy a
spend your money on
77 Ford
four-wheel
LTD.
Yeah, don't spend your money on four-wheel drive and all airbags and everything. Just get something that won't stop when it hits something.
Exactly. Just get a
Like
tank.
a 77 LTD. You'll just keep on
That's
going. That family won't know what came through their living room.
That's right. They won't.
Oh, God.
I was a bit of a menace when I first got that car.
Was that your absolute first car? That was like
It was.
what
That
you
was my
got
first
right
car,
after
yeah.
you got your license.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
And
so-
I felt like I had to take every turn and every road and everything at the max possible speed
Right.
that thing would go. And,
yeah, LTDs known for their handling.
yeah. It was not.
No.
But
No, it's good at going in a straight line, which is why you should
Yeah.
never put a fire hydrant on a corner.
yes. Well, especially when it was wet and rainy and I was 3 sheets to the wind. So
God, Jesus.
I was not in my right mind when
Our
that
youth.
happened.
Our youth.
Yeah.
Time of great
Which I don't
decision.
condone or advocate, by
I
the
was
way.
gonna say,
But
our time of great decision making.
this was a time long past. So
Yes. All right. Yeah. Back to what were we on? Daredevil, Devil's Reign.
Daredevil, yeah. we were
Speaking
talking
of
about
Devil's Reign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's just what I find interesting is that he chose to do this like in 3 separate pieces rather than just one long story arc, because like he's continuing on with this story in the new Daredevil run. So like why the first one had to end and then go into a mini series and then start over again, I don't understand why this couldn't have all just been Daredevil. Like Devil's Reign could have been Daredevil 35 through 41, you know.
well, that I think if he was with DC, which he is about to be, that's how they do things, right? Isn't that
Right.
like that's how Batman went, and they ran that. They run it just like that. Like we had the,
Right.
you know, it went
Marvel
right.
loves to relaunch their books.
Yeah, so it's just the the 2 different worlds, but maybe I'm agreeing with you a little bit where you might lose some readers because they fell off of it because they thought it
Right.
was over and now I'm not going to go on with that. I want something fresh. Whereas if you left it all as one, you just keep on reading. But at the
Right.
same time, like on Batman, we're starting to get a little stale, even though it's all,
Yeah, true.
so there's something to be said for both. So, all right. You ready to get to real world?
I am.
All right. Well, then let's do it. And what do we got
All
from
right.
your modest list this week there, Mr.
And it is
John?
actually very modest.
Very.
I watched a few more episodes of Dark, which
Okay.
is I talked about last week on Netflix. I'm still really enjoying it. Still don't really know what's going on. Although the last episode I watched had kind of like a big reveal that now I'm like dying to get back to some more episodes. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that show. So I really recommend it. I watched the first episode of Our Flag Means Death, which is on HBO Max. This is
Okay.
a series also by Taika Waititi, and it is a comedy pirate show. I don't know how else to describe it. The main character is based on a real person who was basically he was like an aristocrat who decided to give up everything and become a pirate. And so that's kind of what this show is about. Like, this is a guy that has no business being a pirate. He's out on his ship. He's got like, he's super rich. So his suite on the ship, he brought like his whole library. Like, this thing is being on like a luxury cruise liner, on this pirate ship. It didn't do it for me though. The humor didn't hit for me, and I didn't think this was that good. So I'm not going to watch any more of it. But a lot of people seem to like it. I was told by multiple people to watch it, and but I didn't get into it. It's only 30 minutes. They're quick episodes, so your mileage may vary, but it wasn't for me, so I'm not going to watch anymore.
Your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that one?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't even know what that means.
I feel like that's a thing that people say. I hear it all the time. So
when it pertains to like how you drive a car, but how you watch a TV show, 30 minutes is 30
how you
minutes.
do anything.
Yeah, but 30 minutes is 30 minutes. It's like,
hey,
well, I'm in the Northeast,
saying, man.
30 minutes.
It's a saying. Look it up.
Oh, I know it's a saying. I want to know how it pertains to. Well, I guess what is that? Oh, it's on HBO Max, right?
Yes. It is.
Okay, so that saying doesn't pertain because didn't Netflix actually add that to one of their features? Like you can play a show at like 2 times the speed. You could actually speed up.
Oh, I
shows.
don't know.
Like how you can do that with a podcast, which I know people do. They'll put it on 1.5 times so you can listen to more podcasts.
Yeah.
I guess Netflix did that too.
It has been collectively adopted to mean your experience may be different than my experience. So that's what your mileage may vary means. I looked it up in the Urban Dictionary. Man.
I get it. I was like, right after you said it's like, it's 30 minutes, your mileage may vary. I'm like, well, my 30 minutes is your 30 minutes. The Northeast, the sun's slower here. So my 30 minutes is like 40 down there.
It's earlier for me than it is for you. Like in Italy, it's already tomorrow. So.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. Right. So.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Show we've talked about a couple times already. Slow Horses, which is on Apple TV. Stars Gary Oldman. This is the one I was talking about a few weeks ago when I said there's getting ready to be a new show, but I couldn't remember, what it was. This is it. This has only had 3 episodes. It dropped 2 episodes on the premiere week, and then the third episode came out Friday. I don't know if you got a chance to watch this at all, but this basically follows a group of MI5 agents that are kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the rejects or like the screw ups.
Mm-hmm.
And they get sent to like a different office to work out of, and which is headed up by Gary Oldman. And of course they find themselves embroiled in, a big investigation or a big case. This is really, really good. A lot of humor from Gary Oldman. He's always great anyway, and I really like him. And this is a really, really good show. Good, kind of mystery show, like a detective show or like an FBI, MI6, whatever. It's just really good. So I recommend that one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna, like I said earlier, I don't know if I said it earlier, but I think we're gonna start that one tonight. Because we've been going past it a couple of times, and I've heard, obviously, like you, I heard some good things about it. So I think we're gonna start that one tonight. But
really liked it.
Yep.
He's a little depending on how your ear is for like British accents or like European accents, you may want to put the closed captioning on for Gary Oldman anytime he's speaking.
Yeah.
Because sometimes he's a little tough to understand. I've watched Peaky Blinders, so I'm pretty good at it. But if you're not, you might find yourself missing some of it. So.
Yeah. So speaking of accents, there's one part of The Expanse, which obviously I'm watching.
Yeah.
In season 3, where they're on the what do they call them?
The Belters.
The Belters.
Yeah,
their
sometimes they can be
tough.
they can be tough to understand. Too.
So, not that they're hard to understand, but what I thought was weird, and I kind of didn't like it, is obviously at the beginning of season 3, what's her name is, or she goes over there. Not even at the beginning. It's like in the middle of season 3. Who's the woman that was on the ship with James Holden and them? And then she's a belter, but she ends up on the ship with the belters.
Yeah,
I can't remember
Naomi?
her name.
Is it Naomi?
Naomi? Sophia, Naomi, something like that.
I think it's Naomi.
Okay. So whatever. But until she was with the belters, her accent didn't seem that bad. And then all of a sudden she's hanging out with the belters and she's talking like this, and they don't know how to talk. And it's not so much an accent, but it's like they all have a different version of a different accent. It was kind of weird. And then she has since left that belter ship and she's on her way back, but But yeah, and then the 3 of them sitting around the control panel at one point talking, and they all have that it's a different accent, but weird. And it's like, they're all different. They're messing up the language or whatever. Just like, it's almost like they all have 3 different versions of broken English that I was like, where did they get that from? But anyways, if I could pay attention to that, I think I can pay attention to a real English accent.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, if you're not really listening, sometimes it's tough to pick up on.
Right.
So, but yeah, like I said, you guys will like it. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hang on. I let my phone close.
Oh.
Last but not least, we finally got to start watching Vikings Valhalla. And we've watched the first 5 episodes of that, which is on Netflix. As I mentioned before, this is a sequel to the Viking series from the History Channel, but it takes place 100 years after that series ended. So I can 100% say that you can jump in and watch this show without any prior knowledge of, what happened in the first series. They do name drop, several times, the characters from the old series, like I'm the great-great-grandson of something, but you don't have to have seen, like, you don't even have to know who they were, it's just like saying I'm the great-grandson of George Washington or whatever, you know what I mean? It's just a name they throw out, but everything you need to know to watch this show takes place in the show. It's great. I've really been enjoying it. I obviously liked the first series. I can't say at this point whether I think one is better than the other, because this one's just started, and we haven't even finished the first season yet. But Lydia and I are both liking it a lot, and this is great Dolby Atmos. It is on Netflix, but it is really good. So I think you would enjoy that part of it as well.
And you don't have to
And like I said, you don't have to have seen anything. There's like a little blurb that pops up at the beginning of the first episode that says, this takes place, way after the events of the first series. Like they mentioned Ragnar Lothbrok, who was like one of the big characters from the other series. And this takes place, well after his time. Like I said, the city that they're in is the same city that they were in, like, in the other show. So some of the events, some of the places are the same, and they're all kind of descendants of the people from the first show, but there's nothing you need to know from the other show. Everything that you need takes place here. So I would say definitely jump in. One of the main characters is Leif Erikson, which, obviously is a real person. And he kind of
real life person.
Well, he's I was
know.
going to say he's a real life person, but it didn't come out right. But, he's even some of the other characters, like it was on the History Channel, so it was sort of historical based on some real people, but obviously fictionalized a lot. And I think the longer the series went on, the more it veered off of, what the real people would have done and became a drama show. And this one will probably be the same way, just because we have Leif Erikson, who we know at some point after what happens in this show, he's going to explore and find his way to North America. But everything in between is probably all fiction. So,
All right.
But yeah, like I said, recommend it. I think you'll like it.
And that's weekly, right?
No, it's Netflix. It's dropped. It's got all 8 episodes there. Yeah, it's all there. So you could jump in and start it, and then 6 or 7 months later you could finish it. Or you could watch 7 of the episodes and have 1 left before season 2 starts. So
So since we're in real world, did you see Dr. Joe's tweet about that? That he tweeted out a clip from his show where he went on a quick little rant. Like they called it a rant, but I didn't even think of it as a rant because I heard it on the show, and then I heard him like,
no,
did I
didn't.
miss something? It was just really short. But he just was saying
was it
like
about?
Just that I can't remember the show he was talking about. But he's like, now that we got a taste of getting shows dropped all at once, I don't want this weekly crap anymore. It's like, what do you mean?
I did see that. Yeah.
What do you
what
mean
was he talking about? Moon Knight. I think he was talking about Moon Knight.
Yeah, but what do you mean you got a taste of it? It's like, that's all Netflix did.
Right.
It wasn't until DC Universe and they started dropping weekly. That's when you and I had the debate. We were like, why are they doing this? And I'm like, hey, I kind of like it. Now I think a lot of people have come around to that. And so let me ask you, John, now that we have all of these versions dropping in different ways, which do you prefer?
I don't know, because I kind of go back and forth on that. I'll tell you what I don't prefer is what we talked about coming up with, like Obi-Wan.
Right.
Like, if you're going to be a weekly show, then I would rather you just do 1 episode per week.
Right.
Slow Horses did the same thing. They dropped 2 episodes, and I think they're trying to hook people into the show. But to me, just have a better opening episode if that's what you're trying to do. Like, if your opening episode can't do it, then you're probably not going to do it. But
doing opening with multiple episodes like that is kind of like when you hear about, they're going back and doing reshoots, it means they did something that maybe we can't leave it there. Well, then why did you write it that way, right? But I wouldn't mind it. I agree with you. We talked about it before. If you did it if you had a 13 episode season and you dropped the first 2, that's fine.
True.
But like you said with Obi-Wan, you're dropping a third of the season on day 1. Right. Now we still
also, if it's going to be like something like Slow Horses, let's say, which I think is 8 or 10 episodes, but it's also maybe season 1 of multiple seasons. So it's not a finite thing. Whereas Obi-Wan, we know it's 6 episodes, 1 and done. There's not going to be a season 2, and don't give me a third of it up front. So to answer, I can't really say, because I do enjoy things both ways. Like, I do like the convenience of sitting down on a Sunday and watching all of Vikings. But I do also like the weekly where we can discuss every episode.
Yeah.
So I do like it both ways, but what I really dislike is when they
half and half
make a week. Yeah, when they're kind of half and half, and they can't. It's like, Captain America, get ready, shit off the pot. You don't know what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Where did he go? Where is it? I don't. Oh man, I never know where I put these.
Sorry,
things.
I threw that at you, but
I know there it is.
Figure it out.
All right.
But it's just like, do one or the other. Don't be like undecided or in the middle.
Right.
So.
No, exactly. I agree. And it's like, the thing is that's how I feel too, is that like, if I had to choose, I would probably choose weekly, because I think that's the better way to consume everything. Whereas it becomes a lot harder to choose what you want to watch when it's like, there's everything right there. I'm like, am I going to binge it all at once? Am I not? Whereas it's just, where it's a weekly show, you can get in on it right away and be like, hey, I don't like it, I'm out. All right. But you're doing it, you have that conversation too. And that's especially for what we do. And it's not just this, whether you have a podcast or not, it's fun. Like, if we don't have a podcast, we're still talking to each other. Like, did you see, Mandalorian this week? Did you see this week? It's that water cooler talk that's not so much water cooler anymore, but now it's like, Twitter talk or whatever.
Well, right. Because something like with Vikings, you've either seen it or you haven't. So there's no conversation that you can have.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like when a show drops, people like, oh, that was a great show. You have little conversations. It's so funny now to be like, you're scrolling through Twitter, and if you ever seen somebody like, oh, I just saw WandaVision, it's amazing. Hello?
Right.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I was waiting for it to drop. Like, what?
Well, and how did you avoid everything
Right.
for this long? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So.
It's like you wait until the end of something, and it's like, wow, you must be a lot of fun. Like, don't tell me anything. Like,
exactly
what everybody's talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're the guy. But yeah, I like having both too, like you said, like what we do with Cobra Kai and like you do with anything really.
Well, see, and that's the thing, because you and I, again, we consume things differently.
Right.
Because I honestly couldn't do what you do. Like,
no.
I get into a show and I watch the whole thing before I move on to something else. You'll have like 17 shows spinning all at the same time where you've watched 1 to 3 episodes of them, and may get back to them or may not. And like, I don't consume that way. Like I won't start anything else until I'm done with Vikings. No, I mean, I might watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy or something that comes on, but I'm not going to start another
series.
Series until I'm done with this one.
Well, at least another bingeable series, but you'll be
exactly
right.
Yeah,
right.
Like I'm still going to watch this week's Moon Knight, but I won't start another. Like, I don't know, just throwing it out there. Like if Stranger Things came out tomorrow, I wouldn't start it until I was done with Vikings.
Right.
Whereas you might say, "Oh, I'm going to jump in and watch the first episode of this," and
right. And if it grabs me, I'll make that part of my list of things I like to go through. But
do like I said, we kind of watch differently, but
right. But I think most people are like you, and that's why I think the weekly dropping lends to a better chance of success, because what if you dropped your Vikings show, say you dropped some other show, right? And it's not as popular, but everybody's still concentrating on the one that other one.
Right.
Then you miss out. Then people, I don't, where if it's weekly, you could jump in on that as soon as it drops. It's one show, whether it's 40 minutes or 30 minutes or an hour, whatever, you jump in, boom, have a great conversation or what. And that doesn't mean the show is good. We could just be like, that was horrible. I'm not going back to two, just like we do with the books. So it is great having both, and that's
right.
That's
like
the
for
world.
Instance, you keep asking me, like, I haven't started Inventing Anna yet, and I won't until I finish Vikings. You know what I mean?
You started and finished like 10 shows.
Well, no, I have actually, like I said, the last few weeks I haven't really been doing the shows as much as we have just a couple like movies and things like that. This is the first show we've gotten back into for a little bit.
Well, I got one for you this week that
the way our schedule and really it's been more Lydia's schedule than anything, because we just haven't been together to watch things. So
I have one.
Yeah, that's it for my real world. So.
Okay. So I have one for you this week that I'm going to tell you we stopped, and I do not want to go back to it. We watched the 2020 version of it, and I don't like what they did on Hulu. The Girl from Plainville. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I was debating on whether I wanted to watch that or not.
So I think we watched 2 episodes of it, and then we saw the 2020 documentary, whatever 2020 is considered, right? The news channel. They broke it. They did a whole report on it, and we actually, so for people that don't know, The Girl from Plainville is a story of the teenage girl that was convicted, literally, of
kind of like cyberbullying.
Yeah, but not bullying.
Right?
Yeah, it wasn't bullying, and it was her quote boyfriend, and I say quote because you're sketchy on whether they were boyfriend and girlfriend. But they met each other. They lived an hour apart, but they had met each other by chance and had like a 2-year like friendship through text.
Right.
And the kid had been suicidal, and then he ended up killing himself. And they went through her phone and they put it all together. And I mean, I had a hard, Jen and this happened in our state in Plainville. So we saw this live on the news and everything that went on with it. And Jen and I had just as many conversations then. We're like, I don't know. It's a tough one to blame something on somebody through a text message and be like, if somebody told, and what we keep going back and forth with is like, just like when we were kids, if somebody told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? Or, and that's kind of what is going on here. And can you be
almost
convicted
daily?
of that?
Almost daily, somebody tells me to go F myself, and I don't actually do it. So,
but and it's like it was tough. It's like, because don't get me wrong, what she did is just disgusting, and you're like, oh my God. But that
should she be
crime? Are you
right?
Especially as a teenage girl. She was just a girl that's like, she was looking for attention herself. And I don't want to get into the whole thing here. You and I can.
Yeah, and honestly, you know the story more than I do, so I don't know it. Well,
if you watch, I would say watch the 2020 version. Look for The Girl from Plainville, and they have I think it's 2020. They have a whole special on it because it is on Hulu. That's what it's on. So I think 2020 is on ABC, which is the counter of Hulu, right?
Right.
So watch that, and you'll get a better sense. You'll get the entire story. Where I feel like the Hulu one, they're really slanting this towards this girl just being like. What I don't like is, and why I don't think it should be a crime, in my personal opinion, is this girl had no motive to do this in the first place. It was a series of events that ended up being this kid killing himself, right?
Right.
It's not like she set out at the beginning, watch how I do this to get a kid to kill himself.
Right.
So whereas I feel like the Hulu series sounds like it looks like they're portraying it in that light, where the Hulu series, they did not use all they did was take the story and make a show about it. They have no participation from any side, right? And whereas the 2020 is the more realistic, well, it is the realistic version. It's exactly what happened. And it's scary. It's scary, but I don't like what the girl did, but I also don't think it's a crime. So check it out. Let me know. It's fascinating at the very least.
Yeah.
Sadly. But all right, let's move on to more fiction.
Fiction? Okay.
Fiction. I did not catch up on Halo this week. Joe and I didn't get a chance to sit down together to watch that one. But we did see Moon Knight. Really good episode. What'd you think?
I thought it was good as well.
Yeah. Trucking right along.
I liked it.
Really enjoying that episode. The next one drops, today as we're speaking.
Today. Yep.
So, really, really enjoying that. Really looking forward to Halo. We just
Halo was good too, actually.
Was it?
Yeah.
So can't wait for that. Picard, I'm all caught up on.
Yep.
Fantastic. That's really ramping up for me. I don't know about you.
It is. I just figured out who the Borg Queen was too. I didn't realize the actress that was playing the Borg Queen.
Who is
Annie Wershing?
Who's she?
She was on 24 for a while. It's kind of like that redhead with the freckle face.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's hard to see that
she was
when
on
she's
24.
a Borg Queen.
Well, yeah. And that's, again, it's such a bad way to describe somebody, but that's the only way I could think of to describe her, because she's been in a bunch of shows, but I remember her most from 24. But yeah, I didn't know that was her at all. There was a little featurette with her, like getting all the makeup on.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I know who that is. But,
I wasn't sure if it actually, in the makeup though, I was thinking, is it who's the blonde woman in the show that she's paired with, right?
Oh yeah, it's not though.
I was
Allison
like,
Hill is her name.
Yeah, they have them. They do look very close, especially when the Borg Queen to her. I was like, are they? Because that would have been a cool little trick to do, to have her actually play both, and then you realize that's where they end up. What about Data, and his
daughter?
Yeah, how crazy!
Well, that's the whole thing now. It's like, are they insinuating that she's an android? because they didn't have that technology in 2024. So I don't know what they did. Is she cloned? Like, I'm not 100% sure.
I think that's what it is. I think
it's probably more cloning because they didn't have the technology. Because even Data wasn't as advanced as the daughter would have to be. You know, and Data was from the 24th century. You know,
yeah. The original Data. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's Brent Spiner doing like the 10th different variation on that character.
Yeah, exactly.
In Star Trek.
Yeah. But it really, really ramping up. Really, a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, again, another one. This one will be over before you know it because there's probably only like 3 left.
Yeah. But Severance, Apple TV.
All right. So how much of that did you watch?
I think I'm 3 episodes.
More than I did because I didn't even know Christopher Walken was in it. So
okay. So did you get far enough in to realize like there are a ton of Matrix references?
I only watched the first episode. Like if you kind of go back to when I talked about it, I really was intrigued by the idea of severance. Yeah. You know, and like the dual lives and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I just felt like the first episode was so slow that I wasn't sure if I was going to go back to it or not. Like, I remember saying, I don't know if the intrigue outpaces the...
Keep going.
The slowness of it.
Keep going, because I don't think it picks up, but the intrigue
I hear great things about it, though. Mm-hmm. So I might go back to it.
But it's like, I feel like they're trying to take the Matrix and put a different spin on it, because there's lines in the show that are like right out of the Matrix. The color scheme is right out of the Matrix. It's like there's so much to it that's from the Matrix that I'm like, how come I don't hear anybody saying this? I'm like, I'd have to go back and like listen, but every time like that's from they'd say a line and I'd say to Jen, I'm like, that's from the Matrix. And now poor Jen is sitting there going, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Is too slow. Right. You're way too excited and I am not. That's how she feels. But I'm like, I'm enjoying it. I think I'm gonna
I said, I really like the idea of it. You know.
Yeah, I want to see where it goes. I just it is
I just
slow.
Felt like it was so slow for me that I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth it or not.
But I honestly,
I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say that the pace picks up and you get more excited. I just think the intrigue does by what they're giving you, and even at the pace they're giving it to you. I mean, it's a fascinating conversation. Like your work self can't. I mean, they say that in the show too. Like, you don't know. Like you could have an affair, having a whole affair at work. Maybe they do. I don't know. I'm only 3 episodes in, and your home self, your outie, wouldn't even know.
Would
never know.
And then like I said, and your work self doesn't even know if you're married or have kids or anything. Like nothing.
No, but
really, like I said, it's really interesting.
Yeah. Like imagine you show up at work and like you have a hangover. You're like, oh, what? But you know that you have an outer self. And when you're out, you have an inner self, right?
Right.
Which is like that was in the first episode. I'm sure you saw it and be like, like, how do you know you like this? And he's like, my outer self brings me back here every day.
Exactly.
And I don't want to get into any other spoilers in case anybody else. I think more people have seen this than us, but in case anybody hasn't, there's a very interesting conversation to be had about these people that are in there that are working there, and it's like, why would you do that and stuff? So,
well, we know why he
get
did
into that,
but yeah,
right, and that's why I don't want. You got to imagine all of them are like that. Yeah. You got to imagine all of them are like that,
right?
But maybe we could do
they don't want to deal with
exactly. So maybe we could do a Kryptonite on that when we're done with it. But I really enjoyed it. Really enjoying it, I should say. And that's one I'm probably going to have Jen make her finish that one.
I'm going to force her to keep watching it.
Yeah. You sleep. I'm putting this on.
Right.
Let's see. What else do we have this week? In Kaleidoscape Views, we have Empire Strikes Back. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially that opening scene, then the jungle / Dagobah. And
Right.
Oh, looks so good. Terminator 2. Watched that in its entirety. Didn't mean to, but one of those things.
Right.
I was like, I just wanted to watch
I'm just gonna watch 5 minutes of this, and
I put it on to watch the opening scene because I just wanted to, and that's one of those scenes that I used to use as a demo. Just put that disc in, whether it was a laser disc, whatever, and just play it because of the way it's the futuristic view. Right. And then I also wanted to jump to another scene on it, which I have the capability to do, just go right to that scene. But I was like, nah, just let it play. Okay, so, but I did watch a bunch of scenes from Infinity War. I didn't watch that whole thing, but watched a bunch of scenes from that. Watched Twister. I got that one.
Oh.
And
so what? It's just 5.1, right?
Yes, 5.1, but it sounded really nice, looked really nice, better than I'd seen it before. So, but I did just order it from Germany in Atmos.
Did you? I almost bought it.
I bought that and Daylight. But in my conversation, the guy that John, the podcast that came out yesterday, he has them both. He's the one that gave me the link and told me where to get it. He said Twister's not as good as Daylight, but Daylight is absolutely amazing. The Stallone movie. Yeah. In Dolby Atmos. So he said, I can't wait to get it. Mine should be in hopefully this week. Thor Ragnarok, really good. Finally a soundtrack worthy of the movie. Right. It's still not as good as, say, Black Panther, which I did watch more of that. Ragnarok still slags behind other movies, but when I compared this version to like the disc version, this is better. It's way more dynamic. But Black Panther I also watched. Underworld I watched. Another one I didn't mean to watch the whole thing, but just couldn't help myself.
But Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it, but yeah. And of course, The Expanse season 3, so good. So, all right. That should do it for this week. We're gonna do Kryptonite. So everybody, thank you for listening. John, thank you for everybody for commenting. If you'd like to leave a comment and get, we would talk about it in Mailbag. You can reach us at brightside_chat, or you can tweet at John at Arkham Comics. That's with an X. And we will talk about that next week. So because of all the comments this week, John is a truckin'. So that should do it for this week. We will, if you want to hear more about Morbius, spoilers coming up. Stick around. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Hey, Fred. All right, John, we are back. And John, what do we normally do right now when we're about to talk spoilers?
We lock the door.
All right, so we'll do that. Good job. Thank you very much.
Nope. I had to think about it for a second.
No.
We haven't done Kryptonite in a while. What do we do?
I know. But I also have a new sounder.
Oh.
The data tells me there is potential danger of plot and/or character dynamics that could go rotten.
Uh-huh.
Nice. What was that from?
You don't know? You don't you don't know. You probably don't know. So, that is from Halo, the series Declassified. That's Cortana.
Oh, okay. Cortana.
That's Cortana. Yeah. And
I recognized the voice. Like, I thought that was her, but I was like, I don't remember that line ever being said in the show.
No. So that was in the Declassified, the Halo, the series Declassified, the Halo after show. And they were about to get into spoilers. And if you listen to exactly what she's saying, that's what it is.
The data tells me there is potential danger of plot and/or character dynamics that could go rotten.
Yeah.
Could spoil. Get it?
Could spoil. Yeah.
So now we'll lock the door. We'll play that. And if you are, if we ruin anything for you, then, well, it's on you.
Yeah.
We've put everything at the end of the show. It's like, hey, all right.
Well, and honestly, most people are either going to see this movie or not, regardless of what we say.
Yeah, so. Exactly. But yeah, so We need to come up with more stuff to talk about in Kryptonite. That way I can play that sounder some more.
Yeah.
All right, the door's locked. We've played the sounder. Let's get to Morbius. What were you saying that, all right, leave your brain at the door. That's the one. Let's start off with that.
Well, like I said, it's not so much like when you say leave your brain at the door, you're, kind of going back to like Hurricane Heist or something, right? Where you're like, this is just stupid and blah, blah, blah. And
the moon and the earth can't bump into each other.
Yeah. And I didn't necessarily mean it that way, but like I said, I feel like there were some things that were underdeveloped or very rushed that it made it hard to connect the dots in a few places. For instance, Milo, because I can't remember his real name. But, essentially the Lucian.
Which I think is amazing because that's like a devil
Lucian,
name.
Yeah.
Right?
That's awesome. He goes from like best friend, philanthropist, donates all his money to, advanced science and, again, somewhat selfishly because he's trying to get a cure for his disease, but to like full stop serial killer, like I want to kill my best friend and his girlfriend and everybody that I come across. And that was very quick and underdeveloped because all we had seen from him previously was, again, we meet him as a kid and he's sick and he's kind of bullied, but he's the best friend, he's like the good stepson to the doctor, the other guy there that was taking care of him in the, from the orphanage or wherever they were, to just, like I said, to full stop, like killer mode with no scene. Like, I just feel like a scene or two prior to that where maybe he lost his temper or you just saw some like underlying.
He did. They did.
Well, they did when Michael said, I'm not going to give you I'm going to hold back the medicine from him.
No. Said, they had the scene when he got beat up, right? And it was over. He got picked on. He got bullied by those older kids. And then he got up and he lost his temper and he just started kicking that kid that was down. He just went nuts.
No, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I would say is I agree with everything you said. And all they needed to do is put a scene in that was in Captain America First Avenger where that's kind of what happened here. So, Morbius became, he was the good guy. He's good through and through, right? And he doesn't want this. He's trying to control the rage that this brings out in you because it's not a rage, it's a hunger. You need to feed, right? So he's trying to control it and use it to only, go all Dexter and only kill bad people. Right? Where Milo, Lucian, who has the devil inside him, I mean, his name is Lucian, right? When they said it, I was like, oh my God. Well, it's just like not Winter Soldier, it's First Avenger. It's like, if you put this stuff in somebody that's got that rage inside them, they won't be able to control this version. And you're right. That would have been cool to have a scene that showed that, but I wonder if they didn't put it in because maybe it's too close to First Avenger because it's kind of what they were saying with the serum.
And almost everything I'm going to say, it's not that it was a bad story point. It's just that it needed that one more scene to set it up. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like they needed one more thing to get us to buy into him being that guy, because like Morbius was infected, quote unquote, infected for quite a bit longer than he was. Right. And he was able to survive on the blue blood, the synthetic blood. And over time, it was becoming less effective for him. But it was a period of time. Whereas when he offered it to Milo right away, who had only been vampire for like 2 days, that stuff doesn't work for me. Well, it would work for you. You know what I mean? Because it worked for Michael. And maybe again, over time, it would have become less effective. But in the very beginning, he could have been doing that too, and had his descent into being the bad guy, opposed to full stop starting as the villain. You know what I mean?
And here's where you're right in that it's kind of rushed. So maybe you missed it, but they kind of they did do exactly what you just said, but they did it in such a fast way. So when Jared Leto, Michael Morbius, when he became Morbius, when he went bad, he was on that ship, right? And he just lost it.
He did.
And he killed 8 people, but he didn't kill her. But you saw the anger in him. You saw him charge at her, crack the glass. Maybe he would have, okay? But he fed on those other 8 people he killed that were trying to kill him too, right? Whereas Milo, Lucian, he fed on that poor woman. That was his first time. And he's like that. I think he has a line. I don't remember it exactly, but he has a line like, I didn't mean it. But you're just, when that first rush, you need to feed right away. And he fed on that poor woman. And I think at the time, this is why it'll be fun to see it again, that at the time, we were so distracted. We thought maybe that because they led you in the direction that Morbius did it. Because right after that scene, they show him reset his watch, like he just fed, right?
Right.
But it was a misdirection, so maybe we miss out on the fact that, it was Milo that did it. But then when we find out Milo did it, they said the line so fast, and it was like, off the cuff, like you didn't even think much about it, but he was saying like, I didn't mean to do, like he was trying to say, I didn't mean to do it.
When he said that, I didn't believe him. I thought that's what he was.
Did. Right.
I just thought that's what he was saying to Michael to come off as kind of the good guy. But I felt like, because it kind of is revealed later on that he let Michael take the blame for that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing I think we never really know much about Milo. I mean, we don't know, like maybe he is, I mean, his name's Lucius. So,
like I heard some people, complaining that they were like, all of a sudden he's super rich, and I never bumped into that because he was rich the whole time because his parents could afford to put him in this private hospital. So obviously there was money there. So I didn't bump into that, but I heard some people criticizing that. I also kind of wanted, again, maybe one more scene where he bribes his way into that prison, right? Because he just shows up in the cell saying, I'm this guy's lawyer. Well, they would check your ID, right? When you go to a prison, they don't just take your word for it, right?
Oh, you're a lawyer? Okay.
Or they also search you, right? So something that explained how he was able to get into that cell with that packet of blood and nobody stopped him, or again, I can believe that he's super rich, so maybe he bribed his way in.
Right.
But show me that so it makes sense, before you just kind of come out and do your Kaiser Soze walk, and transform into the devil. And then why is he giving Michael the blood if he's letting him take the fall for killing the nurse? Why is he getting him out of prison? Just let him stay there.
Because he's his friend. They're like brothers, and I think he wants.
Well, I think if I'm really your friend, I go to the cops and say, "Hey, Michael didn't kill that guy. I did." You know what I mean? So
yeah, but I think his end goal was them being together, and it doesn't matter what anybody thinks that they did because they're above all that. So they could. Right. He had the money to go live in hiding. And they have the power to actually. Anybody comes after them, who cares if the two of them teamed up? So I get that. I mean, I agree with everything you're saying 100%. I would love to get it, and that's why I'm just trying to give the other side of it and be like, it was there just a little bit, and we could use more. But that's why I think it's not as bad as what people are saying. It's like,
no, like I said, it's not, because at the end of the day, it was very entertaining and it was fun. There was just a couple things, like, again, one more scene to set up the relationship between Michael and his co-worker / love of his life all of a sudden at the end of the movie. Right. You know what I mean? It's like there was no hint of a romance there really between them, other than the fact that it's a movie, and anytime you put two good-looking people together, they're going to get together because it's a movie. But there was no setup for that relationship, really. And
well, he did look back at her. That was the scene from the trailer.
I mean, he didn't kill her.
He didn't kill her, right? And
I guess that was.
I guess you're right that they didn't really lean into it, but it was kind of just assumed that they were an item. And then, like I said, it's the scene from the trailer where he looks back over his shoulder as Morbius and then he leaves the ship. But the genius part of him, I think he's smarter than Milo, clearly. I mean, he is for sure. An absolute genius. So the power, let's get into some of that. It's the power of Morbius, add him into the MCU. And it's just like, I mean, to be able to send out that sonar to all of New York and hear anything anywhere and that was awesome to me. I'm like, that's awesome. Gonna be fun. And it's his strength is amazing. It's the entire thing, what they did for him in this movie. I find it a fascinating character that I hope he's in more movies. I think he's going.
Yeah, hopefully, because again, knowing that this movie will make its money back, but I don't know if the negative press will hurt it so much that they don't do a sequel to it. You know what I mean? I hope not.
What about the Hulk? What about it? What do you think of the chances of it going in that direction? Because this has a lot of similarities to the Incredible Hulk movie, which people didn't like when it dropped after Iron Man, right? And I don't think we really cared about what's his name that played him at the time. We actually liked him, Ed Norton.
Oh, I liked him. I actually I like Mark Ruffalo, but I would have been perfectly happy if Ed Norton stayed on.
But Bruce Banner went on to be a pretty substantial character in the MCU.
Right.
Off of a what would be considered one of the worst MCU movies, right?
Right.
So if Michael Morbius
they did it by not giving him any more of his own movies.
No, but we did get the character a ton.
That's what I mean.
Ragnarok, and it's like, so what if we got Michael Morbius a ton more, as he could be? He's the new genius. He's that smart. And what if he comes in and is the next, Banner? And we get a bunch of him moving forward. And I'd say he is a more compelling character to me than the Incredible Hulk. The Hulk Hulk smash. You're either Hulk or you're Banner. Whereas Morbius, even in the form of Morbius, he's awesome. I mean, he's still smart, but he's powerful. He's this, he's that. It's like very similar characters, really.
Yes, but you always have that morality conflict with Morbius because he does need to survive, right? Like he needs blood to survive, and
that's what makes him more compelling.
The quote unquote blue blood isn't going to do it for him.
Yeah, he's on a clock
anymore. Right, he's on a clock. So how do you balance this character, which is kind of the same way they do it in the comics, right? Like, so do you make him like Dexter, where he just goes and feeds on the bad guys, like a Punisher type character, and that's okay because it's bad guys? Because again, go back to another thing that kind of bugged me in this movie was Tyrese Gibson, right? Like he's a detective. He's charged with upholding the law, but he's like, I could let you slide for killing the 8 mercenaries on the boat because they were mercenaries. But, you killed the nurse. To a cop, murder's murder, man. Like, it doesn't matter if they were good guys or bad guys. It's like, I'm not going to let you slide for 8 bodies you know?
Well, no, here's the thing here's how I rationalize that in my head is that when you're a cop and you show up on a boat and all these mercenaries are dead, you're like, oh, okay. You have a stack of things on your desk that you need to investigate, right? Are we really going to get into that? But then the same MO shows up on an innocent nurse. It's
right,
the
mother of two or
mother
whatever,
of two,
you know?
exactly. Now you put that on that stack. Now you're investigating the guy that got the mercenary. You see what I mean? It wasn't that.
No, I get it, but it was just kind of like, I'm going to let you slide.
Well, it's not that he's going to let it slide. He's going to. What he's saying is, I don't really put all my effort into. I have other better things to do than investigate who killed these mercenaries. But when like I said, when the MO is exactly the same and it's the mother of two, then you're like, oh, wait a minute, that goes to the head of the line. And now it just happens to be that. So it's like, why would you do that? And that's why even, Jared Leto and Michael Morbius was like, I don't think I did it, but he doesn't remember doing the 8.
He doesn't remember.
Either.
Right.
So
right.
That's why I found that very intriguing, like as sitting there watching it, I'm like, how are people saying like, this is awful? I'm like, I thought this was pretty cool. It's like, because it was a misdirection.
Kind of, sticking with Tyrese for a minute, like he just shows up at the end of the movie with this like bionic arm, and there's like not one word said about that either. It's like, who is this guy? Where'd this bionic arm come from?
Yeah.
It's just like I don't get what's going on there. The bats, like that was a cool scene at the end, but I don't think there's vampire bats in New York City.
No, they're his. They're the ones that he brought in.
There was way more bats that showed up than what he had in that tank, And then my other thought was, he says, I have a kinship with these creatures because I'm just like them. But Milo doesn't have a kinship with them.
No,
they go and attack him. They went and attacked him, and it's I'm the same as Morbius, you know what I mean?
But Morbius,
so why are you attacking me?
Right, but Morbius said earlier that he had a kinship, like he can talk to them. So maybe he actually told them to do that. Yeah. That's I thought that's what he said when he was talking about with the tank with Martin.
Well, I just kind of remember him saying like I have a kinship with these creatures. And I was thinking, well, Milo would have the same kinship with them because he's literally the same. The bats don't care if Milo's killing people or not. They're bats. They don't have there's no morality there. It's not going to, I'm not going to attack one and leave the other one alone just because he's killing people, So I thought that was a little strange too. I mean, it was cool, but I don't think
told them to do it. They did it.
I don't think there's vampire bats in North America or New York City. So I didn't know where they came from. They flew a long way awful quickly if they came from Costa Rica, because there was like 10 times as many bats as what he had inside that tube.
Tank.
And how'd they get out of the tank to come help him?
Didn't he get out of the tank? Didn't he break out of the tank through the top? Didn't he go out of it? I thought that's
think so.
Maybe that was something else.
I don't know. Like I said, it was just little things that I kind of found myself scratching my head at.
But, what did you?
And then I was gonna say the completely nonsensical after credit scenes, like they were bad.
All right, before we get to them, because I don't think they're as bad as that. But before they get to that, what did you think of the colored trailers as he was jumping, the like strings off of them and stuff, the special effects
colored
that they
trailers as he was jumping? Oh, okay, yeah, like the flash motion lines, I guess.
Yeah.
I liked cool. It.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Yeah, I thought it was. We were seeing things the way he did.
Right.
And I thought those colors coming off of him was how he saw wind and stuff, because he sees things with sonar as well. So when you incorporate the two, like, you don't physically see those colors with your eyes. You see it in conjunction with the sonar. Similar to, have you ever heard somebody describe how, like, what a dog smells? And like when they smell something, it's like us seeing a rainbow. Like you see all, like they smell like we see rainbows. Like they
all
can
colors,
smell all the different colors they're not colors, but the different scents.
Yeah,
they can separate them out. Like we were like that's how they can smell you coming, and then they smell They smell those different things in the air, and that's what I think he was seeing the wind and stuff like with, in a different depth that we would see because he's using the sonar as well, and that's what I thought was. Right. I kind of, as an artist, I liked how they mixed up all like the different colors of the rainbows coming off of him as he jumped from building to building. And
I thought it was cool.
I thought that was really cool. All right, let's get into the we'll wrap up then with the end credit scene. And I want to go first on this one. The one with Michael Keaton and what the hell's his name? Vulture.
Well, it's Adrian. Yeah, Vulture. Adrian Toomes.
Yeah, Adrian Toomes. What I don't mind that. What? Like I
didn't mind the first one as much.
I don't think they're going to team up. I don't think they're going to team up. I think he thinks that they might team up, but I think the entire basis of the movie was Michael Morbius has this conflict, but he's genuinely good. And I think that at the end of that, like that little bit there means they're going to, Adrian wants to team up, but they're not going to. And I think that's what's kind of cool
like
about
I said,
it.
I just kind of like, unless he was fully aware of people bouncing in and out of multiverses, which I'm not sure if he was aware of from his prison cell, like, would you just like appear somewhere else and just like shake it off? Like, I'd be like, what is going on? Where am I? He was just kind of like, he appears and he's like, okay, cool. Let's see what we can do here. It was like, didn't even blink.
Okay.
And then
now I'm going to go down the same road as you. Why is he appearing? What universe is he in? Because he was already in Spider-Man's universe.
Well, he was in Tom Holland's universe.
Correct.
Right. And now he shows up here, which is the Venom universe. It's not Tom Holland doesn't live here.
So why did he go to the Venom universe? Because I thought
that's
people
the whole
that
thing.
knew who Spider-Man were, which he does, right?
He does. He should have been pulled back to where he already was.
Which means he never should have left. That's why it didn't make sense to me.
He shouldn't have left.
That one was weak.
Well,
I agree with you. I'm a little
the
puzzled.
Two characters to put together, those two don't make any sense. Like, it doesn't really make sense to pull Michael Keaton into this universe. Morbius and Vulture are not part of the Sinister Six. You know what I mean? Like, there's no connection really between those two characters. Right. And like you said, no reason for him to have been been pulled into that universe.
Right. Because supposedly
he should have just stayed He should have just stayed where he was.
The multiverse broke because of the spell for anybody that knows who Peter Parker is.
Right.
Right? Spoilers. Right. So that on that timeline, on that idea, that, Michael Keaton's character never should have left that universe. Right. Now,
especially since at the same time Venom had been pulled out of that universe,
correct,
to go back.
Correct. So here's what I find interesting and what I think is funny is that imagine you're one of the writers for the MCU for Sony, which we know they are working together now. A lot of people are still under the assumption that Sony and Marvel are arguing over this and, which we had, 2 years ago when it's like, oh, we might never get another one. They are
which lasted like 10 seconds.
Exactly.
It was like a 10-second breakup,
Right.
It was like.
They are literally working together now to all make tons of money playing in the same sandbox.
Right.
Imagine being one of these writers and listening to people like, this doesn't make sense. Right, because we don't know yet. I am sure there is a reason that this is playing out the way it is. We just don't have all the information. Maybe there's going to be something in Multiverse of Madness that tells us even more. And then you'll be like, hey, that makes even more sense now. I do not subscribe to the idea that this was pigeonholed in after the fact of making the movie. I think it was.
No,
I think
because
it's
first of all, they took. Well, I guess it was. I mean,
this was supposed to come out before
Spider-Man
that,
movie
but...
was a Sony movie to begin with too. But I was gonna say they pulled him from the MCU. They couldn't have done that if they weren't working together. You know what I mean?
Well, they were working together at the time, yeah.
Because Michael Keaton was part of the MCU at that time, and Sony couldn't just say, "Okay, well, I'm pulling this guy back." Without their permission.
No, he was never part. What was he in the MCU?
Well, he was part of Spider-Man No Way Home, which was all in the MCU.
But that was a Sony movie, right?
Right. But what I'm saying, he was still firmly in the MCU. That character existed there.
Right.
So Sony can't just pull him into another dimension and say, okay, well, we're going to keep him now without Marvel saying, okay, you can do that.
Right. Yeah.
Because they may have had other plans for that character. So whatever is happening is being done with the kind of approval of both studios. But yeah, I don't know. Like that part, him showing up there didn't bother me as much as that second scene. It was just kind of like...
I thought his Vulture costume, wasn't that a different one?
Well, I think it was a different guy. It wasn't even... That definitely wasn't Michael Keaton.
In the costume?
Yeah, that's why he didn't take the helmet off.
Yeah, that too.
But it's like if I'm Morbius, like this guy just shows up while I'm driving on the road and says, "Hey, let's team up," it'd be like, I don't know. That seemed, and then he says, "Okay, well, let's go do some good." Like he's Elliot Ness from The Untouchables. It's like.
I think it'll pay off.
I'm doing my best Kevin Costner impersonation.
Yeah.
So
see, I think it'll all pay off. I have no problem with it. I mean, it is weird.
They always do. I mean,
right.
I'm sure it'll pay off somewhere. Well, unless they never do another movie, and then it won't pay off because it didn't go anywhere. Yeah. So, now they got to figure out how to get him back to the other universe again.
Right. So. What was the other other credit scene?
There was just the two. They were both Vulture scenes.
Oh, they were both.
The first one was
when he showed up.
He showed up in the prison. And then the second one was
Right. Yep. Okay. All right. That it? Anything else you want to hit on? We both, honestly, I could say we both loved the movie.
I did like it. Like I said, I did enjoy it. I liked it. I'm kind of hoping that the Blu-ray release has a couple of extra scenes that were cut out for some reason by Sony that might have had a few of the things I was looking for.
Yeah, like we get a Daredevil cut.
Yeah. Even if they're just in the extras after the fact and I can put it together on my own.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, I want them put together like they did.
I still can't watch it all together, but at least I can watch it on,
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it for the home theater aspect just because of that sonar that he uses. I think this is going to be a fantastic home theater movie. I am really looking forward to this one. Not as much as the Batman, but
it's a Sony disc. Yeah.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, that I think is going to be great. But yeah, that whole sonar thing he's doing. I loved it in the movie. I love it from my theater. All of that. I can't wait. So, and we should be getting that in probably a couple months, early summer.
I would imagine. Yeah, everything's super quick these days.
Yeah, and Multiverse of Madness is only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, I got my tickets already.
Yep, me too. Very excited for that. So.
Yep.
All right. That it?
That's it.
All right. That'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week. I don't know. Maybe we'll have Kryptonite next week. We'll see. But we're over the 2-hour mark again, John.
I know. I see that. I can tell because I have to go to the bathroom.
All right. On that note, we're out of here.
Yeah.